Good morning, Southeast Minnesota. This is episode 37. Today is August 26th. So, Josh, Wednesday here of this week, but about a week ago, we kind of toured around on our own little pro farmer tour, just like the other folks that were working their way across the Midwest on up to the finale in Rochester, Minnesota. So, we do want to take some time today just to talk about what our route was, the differences we saw between different counties, and then ultimately just getting to what our results were and what are some of those factors that we feel are really either driving yield or maybe lessening yield in some of those cases. But I think for starters, probably good to start off with crop stage wise. Where do you feel that we're sitting?
Yeah, it's really progressed. In some cases, we talked about, it still kind of varies. We have some stuff that's not quite 100% dent, which I'd say for the most part and we have some stuff that drop in milk lines. So we're probably somewhere R5 plus, a little beyond that in some cases, but it just kind of depends on planting date, maturity. But starting to see some milk line development, some corn silage is coming out. GDU wise, we're up over the 2,000 mark, and it's still August, so we're kind of come down the home stretch. And I think the dry weather conditions are gonna, and along with this heat, it's really going to change rapidly. I think, by Monday of next week, it's going to be crazy how much the crop changes, maturity and development wise. And, lack of rainfall is going to play a big role of how this thing looks down the stretch too.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. This crop is moving fast, in my opinion, just really driven by that heat and drought that we're experiencing here. Did want to just call out, you talked about that milk line starting to drop in some cases. So do you figure about 100 GDUs per quarter milk line?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously a week like this, when we're hitting 90, we're picking up GDUs rapidly. So really want to keep an eye on things, especially on the silage side of things. So let's just kick it off with maybe our tour and what we saw from location to location. So stop number one, Josh, we hit the kind of west side of Rochester, up in Olmsted County. What's your take on maybe some of the locations we observed up there?
Yeah, that area, we're kind of west of town, not too far from the airport there, just to give a general background of where we were. Part that I guess last week we were there, soil moisture was really good there, probably better than maybe anticipated. Appearance of the crop really showed that. Kind of like most of the stops, there wasn't a lot of plant health issues, but we had a really good check there. Actually, the first check we had there was pretty strong, but I thought overall that area looked really good as we kind of traveled. And then not moving very far from there, we traveled south towards Grand Meadow and did a check kind of north there, Allie. And I thought the crop looked a lot different down there, and definitely soil moisture started to show up a little bit more as we got down there.
Yeah, as soon as we hopped off of the interstate there and kind of headed south towards Grand Meadow, that's where you really started to observe those lighter soil types coming into play in a big way. And even we were even starting to see some of those plants pull back from the top. So really extreme dry conditions there. Our checks there were not as high, which I think does kind of just stick in tune with we obviously were observing a moisture difference there, and then just variability in the different years that we were seeing around that location. So kind of a bummer, a lot of potential around there. So kind of, you hate to see some of that maybe being pulled off the top, but nonetheless, it is what it is. So after we moved out of Mower County, we kept working our way south and east, kind of ran across on 44 as we worked our way into Fillmore County.
Yeah. So the Grand Meadow check, we actually did one down. I think we did a quick swing into Ostrander there, and Grand Meadow, Ostrander, similar, big cracks in the ground. Moisture was getting to be an issue. The crop looked good. It's just a matter of, I was just really concerned about moisture. Moving towards Harmony, moved east, kind of County 44 there. Had our highest check of the morning over there, kind of west of Harmony there. The crop along there, I'd say variable, Allie. It seemed like we saw some really good looking corn. We had a little bit of lodged corn in some pockets along that route that we observed as we kind of traveled along there. But it really, nitrogen deficiency really kind of showed up as you were looking at fields. The check field we did looked really good, but fields around us just maybe didn't look quite as strong as that did. And moisture still being, I think, a big issue as we kind of headed east across the Minnesota-Iowa border.
Well, and actually too, so if you look at the drought map in terms of where areas are experiencing more of that than others. Fillmore is actually experiencing that more than Mower County, but from our observations, it felt like Mower County was much
Mm.
drier than Fillmore. And I think, what's your take on that? Just soil type
Yeah, soil
variation?
type a little bit. I think sometimes as you get closer to 52 and east, even though it could be a little drier, it just seems like historically the good dirt over there can maybe just handle a little bit less moisture, can fight through that. And I think that was the big difference there. But kind of summarizing that Mower County route, we came up at a 204 bushel average there. Fillmore County, we did travel then up towards Lanesboro. We did one more check up there. Had a really nice corn on soybean check up north of Lanesboro there. And I actually thought as we kind of drove from Harmony through Lanesboro, the crops look pretty strong up through there, Ellie.
Yeah, I'd agree with that statement. And like you said, obviously the field that we hopped into was a really nice check. So just nice to observe things across the board from the southwest corner all the way to the northeast corner of Fillmore County. But I do think variable is a word I'd tie back to that.